Rajkumari is waiting for customers at the roadside. She has a young baby to feed at home and a family to support. So far, no luck. Rajkumari is one of the hundreds of thousands of Indian women in institutionalized sex work in a practice with roots in the age-old caste system. Just 3 hours away from India's capital, New Delhi, is a starkly different world. I am traveling to a cluster of villages known for sex work. This is Ghegoli, a village in the district of Alwar in the state of Rajasthan. Here, I meet Ankita, who is a sex worker. At her request, we have changed her name. She says she is of legal age, but doesn't look it. Ankita is getting ready for a client. Her clients include men from nearby villages, truck drivers or migrant workers that pass through on the highways, and young men with disposable incomes. She joined the profession 3 years ago and says it was by choice, as it enables her to support her family.
I know from my father that my aunt also worked like this. I got into this field due to poverty.
How much are you earning at the moment?
About 60 to 70,000 rupees per month, around 750 euros. Apart from me, no one in my family can find work. We were starving. We need a roof over our heads. We need to build a house, and my sister needs to get married.
Do you have any debt?
I paid it all off.
How much was it?
About 11,000 euros.
Oh, that's a lot. Did you pay that back?
Yes, everything.
Within 2 years?
3 years.
Having to borrow money traps many families here in a vicious cycle. Banks do not lend money since they do not consider sex work as work. So these families turn to local lenders who charge exorbitant interest rates, making them even poorer. Rachna, we also changed her real name, is the eldest of a total of 7 siblings. Due to high debt, she also has to work as a prostitute like her mother and her aunt.
I was 15 when I understood what it was all about. And at the same time, it became more and more clear to me how poor we are. So I got in.
What was the situation?
My little siblings always had to beg for food. We have no real house, no land, nothing. At some point, the money that my mother earned here as a sex worker didn't suffice, so she had to go to Mumbai. In hotels, you can earn more. She had to leave us alone to do so. It became clear to me that it was the only way to make money, and essentially for us to survive. One day I finally said to her, I don't want you to do this. I will take care of this. I am now the breadwinner of the family.
Rachna went to Mumbai through an agent who recruited her by contacting local pimps in an elaborate sex trade network. There are an estimated 3 million sex workers in India between ages 15 and 35. Sex work is legal in India. Pimping and human trafficking are not. This is a matter of survival for many like Rachna. They are abused in this system but stay for lack of any other avenues of work.
When I was very young, I had a client in Mumbai who treated me horribly. He wouldn't even pay me. Instead, he beat me black and blue and even stole my clothes. I ran after him, but couldn't take them back. It was extremely humiliating.
There is a stigma attached to these villages, as the people here belong to the bottom of the caste hierarchy. Nuts, Bedia, Banchara, and Kanjar, where these women come from, have traditionally been nomadic tribes. They move from place to place. They're scattered all over, but many are in the states of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. Before the women were driven into sex work, these ethnic groups worked mainly as performers, dancers, jugglers, acrobats, and magicians. Because of their work and way of life, the British colonial power viewed these ethnic groups as a threat. In 1871, they were criminalized under the Criminal Tribes Act, which was only repealed at the time of India's independence. Stereotypes about these tribes still persist in society and makes it almost impossible for them to start other professions or means of livelihood. I went to meet male members of a family from the community.
There's a lot of discrimination. No one wants to give us decent jobs. That would mean we could climb up and out of our misery. People don't want that, so there's no change.
How do you determine that? How is this noticeable in everyday life?
आप लोगों ने कभी ऐसा फेस किया है इस तरह का कोई पक्षपात बाहर के समाज से?
They won't even stand or walk next to us because we belong to a low caste. They tell us to go away. But it's getting better as more and more of us push to go to school. Otherwise, they wouldn't let us come near their homes. In school, nobody would sit next to me. I wouldn't even show my ID card, fearing retaliation and humiliation because of our caste.
Some children here don't know who their father is. Of course, the mother's customers don't give names. But this is a problem, because in many places you can only be officially registered with your father's name. So these kids fall through the cracks. But women have been able to challenge some gender roles by becoming the primary breadwinner.
Those who make money are strong. Our women are strong. They support the family. They call the shots. The women are ahead of us here. They are immensely respected.
These women are able to bring income to the families, build properties, and make homes. They can pay off family debts, which not many women in India can do. Some eventually leave the village and move to the country's major urban centers, to Delhi, Mumbai, or Calcutta, some even as far as Dubai. Husbands, fathers, and brothers of the sex workers are involved in enabling this trade and contributing to the family economy. They act as pimps, but also do house chores and raise children. But there are women who are completely on their own. This can be difficult, especially when they get older. Snehlata only had one daughter who also worked as a sex worker. Then she died, probably from a sexually transmitted disease.
I don't have any other kids. She died. She got very ill.
Most of the women we spoke to would like to move on from this life. Ankita dreams of marriage when she's done helping her family. Rachna does everything to give her child a decent education, which she hopes could weigh her way to freedom. However, something is slowly changing in the villages. I meet Guddu Nagar, a teacher who is supported by an NGO working to end sex work. Today's lesson is about grammar. He believes a good education will help the women find safer ways of employment.
A group of words which gives a complete sense is called sentence. शब्दों का एक समूह जो पूर्ण अर्थ देता है वो वाक्य। तो क्या बन गया ये वाक्य, और इससे हमें पूरा अर्थ मिल रहा है कि राम का एक काम कर रहा है, वो किसका काम कर रहा है, लिखने का काम। ठीक। हमारे कुछ परिवार ऐसे हैं कि जिनको एजुकेशन से जोड़ा।
This has already worked for a few families. One girl even managed to get into the police force in Jaipur, the nearest major city. Another family has several children in medical professions. One boy is a lab technician, 2 girls are studying, one is going to become a doctor. In these families, no woman works as a sex worker.
तो ये भी बदल गया पूरा, ये 2-4 अच्छे परिवार हमारे बदल गए।
Guddu Nagar belongs to the same tribes. His relatives were in the sex trade too. He wanted to break the cycle. He started by teaching himself to read and write, and then his relatives.
जैसे कि subject, verb, object, इसको सही क्रम में लगाया हमने। Migrate caste मतलब अभी यहाँ रहे कुछ दिन के लिए वहाँ काम किया।
Our nomadic way of life was one of the reasons it was too difficult for us to escape our misery. I have 4 brothers, none of whom went to school, and some of my sisters are still illiterate. I was lucky. After I had taught myself a few things, a social worker from an NGO helped me. Today, I have an official degree and can work as a teacher.
इंग्लिश से MA B.Ed हूँ मैं, और अभी बच्चों को पढ़ा रहा हूँ।
There are stories like this, but few and far between. Members of the community are trying to change the destiny of the next generation.
It's called sentence.
I'm Nancy, and I want to be an air hostess one day.
Why an air hostess?
It's my dream.
Because you want to fly.
Yes.
A desperate hope is simmering that through education and knowing their rights, these women can leave the shackles of the past.